Welcome back, friends. Okay, we're going to talk about confusion this week because that is my brain's most favorite way of getting me to not do shit, basically. So, our brains have neural pathways. Neural paths is where a neuron fires, neurotransmitters chemicals go from one neuron over the synapse to the next neuron. And that's what creates that's thoughts, okay? And that chemical reaction then creates the emotions in our body. It's like a chemical vibration. And that's meant to communicate what's going on in our head to the rest of our body. It's a super efficient way for us. And it's really helped us survive for so long. But anyways, so those neural pathways, a belief is where I have had the same thought over and over and over and created very well worn, super efficient neural pathways. And my brain loves efficiency, just like yours guys does. Primal brains, remember from a couple podcasts, have three main missions: seek pleasure, avoid emotional and physical pain and suffering, and utilize as little energy as possible. I always like to go to the why. Why are those things like, why is that your brain's thing? Well, if you think about it, like seek pleasure, food is pleasurous for us, sex is pleasurous for us, right? So when we lived in a very hostile environment where there was a lot of predators and we were not the top of the food chain and we did not have weapons like guns, we had a staff with a rock on the end of it, basically, right? We weren't necessarily top of the food chain. Like there was a pretty equal playing field out there between us and other big predators. So it was dangerous for us to leave the cave in which we were hiding out in that was safe. It was dangerous for us to get out there and go hunting for food. All right. There's lots of people that died in hunting accidents, like whatever, like got trampled, got ate. I don't know. I'm not a history buff, but it was dangerous. And then for the gatherers, like going out and picking berries in the bushes in the forest can be pretty life threatening, right? Because other animals, such as bears and grizzlies and I don't know, historic animals, they too were eating the berries as well. And also, if we happen to get the wrong berry, that could be death as well. So there had to be a mechanism built inside of us that overrode fear. It's really scary to get out there, to go eat. So food is very pleasurable. It gives us lots of dopamine hits. So we will override fear to go get a dopamine hit for pleasure. So that was what moved us out of our little safe, warm cave to go get food. It was pleasurable for us. We wanted that dopamine hit. We needed it to survive. We need food, right? Sex, same thing, very pleasurable for us. It's a dopamine hit. We need to have sex to procreate. We need to procreate because we got to move our species forward, right? I'm not going to be around forever. I need offspring to take my genes and move forward to continue this forward cycle. All animals do this too, right? It's the same. We are very similar, right? We are animals. We forget that. Like it's those mechanisms. So things had to be pleasurous for us to take these risks. Because I mean, if you think about like providing offspring for women, not as much for men, but for women, it's a very life-threatening thing because a lot of women historically have died during childbirth, or babies also didn't survive. So there had to be like, if sex wasn't pleasurable, we really wouldn't do it. You know, the trade-off, there's just a high risk trade-off with it. So it had to be something pleasurable for us to like continue to engage in it to mitigate the trade-offs for ourselves. So that's why pleasure, that's why our primal brain is like, it seeks pleasure. Now it just goes unchecked in our society. And then avoid emotional pain and suffering, physical as well, physical mainly. Duh. Do I have to explain that, right? suffering, pain typically meant death, right? A lot of people would die of just simple cuts because of infection. So we're really hardwired to avoid pain and suffering because it could mean death. And then utilize as little energy as possible. If you think back again, we didn't have a lot of resources available. Food was fairly scarce. So we had to conserve energy and we had to conserve calories. We had to have a body that was very efficient at consuming or conserving energy. Because if our body just burned through energy, which is calories, fat, um, carbs, protein, I won't even go into all that. But if we had a body that was not efficient at conserving it, we wouldn't have survived, especially like in drought times. Right? When food was very scarce, like we had to have a body that was very efficient at conserving energy because food was sometimes it was abundant, sometimes it was scarce, sometimes historically we just didn't eat every day. Food wasn't that available. Like hunts weren't all like not all hunts were successful. So we would go days without eating. So our body just had to be very highly attuned to conserving energy. So our brain loves to access thought pathways that have already been laid down or easy because it conserves energy for it. Creating new thoughts takes a lot of energy. It's a new firing from one neuron to another neuron that's never really fired together because neurons that fire together frequently will wire together. They create a very efficient pathway. That work comes from Dr. Joe Dispenza. But to fire to a new neuron takes a lot of work. Our body doesn't like that. Our brain doesn't like that. It's very high energy demand. High energy demands, we have to be very picky on that in terms of our survival historically. Okay, so our brain loves to loop the same thoughts, the same neural pathways that we've had for years and decades. It just is it conserves energy and is very efficient. So there's a long explanation of that. So my brain, from years and years and years and years and years, decades, little Kim, my mode of survival, like I call them childhood survival coping mechanisms: people pleasing, perfectionism, uh, anger, invisibility, driven us to prove ourselves, avoidance, controlling. There's 11 of them. They are all childhood survival coping mechanisms that our little selves picked up that said, this is how we're going to survive childhood, right? Childhood is very vulnerable from us as a species. It's very vulnerable. That is where the likelihood of death is fairly high in the past, historically. Okay. Not now as much so as when we were hunter gatherers living in caves. Children just are more susceptible to death at that point, right? They're just more vulnerable. So our vulnerable little brains are taking in all these things and making interpretations and deciding when I am the people pleaser, when I'm trying to make everybody happy, home is calmer. That is safer for me. I have a better chance of surviving childhood when the home is calmer and safe. Okay. Where these things come from. So my little brain, I can't remember my 7-year-old self was making interpretations, and she decided that perfectionism is how we survive childhood. Just do everything right. By the way, I am first female born. So a lot of times as firstborn, perfectionism is the one we choose, but it also is parenting, right? Because parenting is like, this is our first baby, this is our chance to get it right? Like subconsciously, they haven't had a perfect life. Here's our chance to give a perfect life to this little one here. It's not conscious. Again, it's a subconscious thing. I mean, some parents might, But so they just want everything to be perfect for us. Well, then that feeds that coping mechanism. Like, oh, things need to be perfect. They need to be right for these people to be happy, for me to be good, for me to be accepted and loved. That's how I'm going to survive childhood. They'll want to keep me, they'll want to provide for me if I'm good and if I do things perfectly, if I do things right. Okay. So that's what my brain put. And it's very sneaky. We have very intelligent brains because my brain, perfectionism is like a big one in my family. and growing up, I despise people pleasing. I saw how it made some of my relatives show up the way it did, and I hated that. So my brain was like, people pleasing, not that, no. But and then it saw like how trying to be perfect all the time didn't work either. So my brain became very sneaky. And instead of saying perfect, it would say right. You have to do things right. You have to do things the right way. I'm getting to confusion. Hold on with me, people. Okay. I have to do things the right way. There's a right way to do things, and there is a wrong way to do things. Okay. That's what my brain said. Society also really much supports that. There's right ways to do things, there's wrong ways to do things, which really just means perfect. There's a perfect way to do things, and there is a non-perfect way to do things. School systems support that, right? You do things right, you get awarded. You're a good student, you're student of the week, right? You're voted most likely, I don't know, I didn't get voted anything. And all of you were shocked. I didn't get voted like, well, there's no way in hell I would have ever been voted as like Miss Congeniality. That one was just, that was not even in the running. So I was not shocked on that. I wasn't voted like most likely to succeed. I wasn't voted nothing. There was not a category. I probably would have won like most angsty. Yeah. I could have won that award. That would definitely been an opportunity to win an award. But school systems do have that, right? Like most likely to succeed, most likely, I don't know. Again, I didn't win any awards, so some of you that did, you can fill in the blanks with that one. Top 10 seniors, right? Like our school system also reinforces there's a right way, there's a wrong way. And definitely our religious systems as well. So you can see like so many systems have built within them this right way, wrong way. And I think it's super interesting. I follow a coach and she called it white supremacy system. And I've never heard that. And I don't agree with her. She's very successful, but I'm just gonna like put it out there. I don't agree with her. I don't know what that is. I don't even know if that's really a thing or if she just made it up. I don't think this is a race thing. I think this is a human thing because you see it show up in all the different systems. All the different systems and all the different cultures have a right way and a wrong way, period. And I think it's driven by our desire to do things perfectly because perfection demands a right way or wrong way. Perfectionism demands black or white. Perfectionism demands that it's just so cut and dry, right? And I just don't see that within one culture. So I'm putting it out there. I don't agree with her. I don't think that is a thing. I think it's a human thing, and humans want perfection for so many reasons. So that's where my brain went. It was like, okay, there's a right way to do things. And what this has to do with spinning and confusion is what I've learned is because my brain loves there's a right way, a wrong way, i.e. perfectionism, it thinks that I'm wrong all the time. that I don't have the answers, that it's not within me. I can't really like figure it out, that other people are the experts, that other people have it right. So I need to look to other people to figure out how to do it. I need to look to other people on how to do marketing. I need to look to other people how to do sales, how to build a business, right? They know the right way. I don't. And I've just learned with a lot of self-reflection and coaching that that's just really my perfectionism showing up. And that perfectionism is what keeps me stuck. It keeps me tucked away nice and cozy in my little cave, not willing to take risks, not willing to fail big. It just wants to protect me from embarrassment and humiliation. And like, if I don't build this massive business, then proving that I'm not capable, all it's doing is trying to protect me from that. So it causes slowdown and slow growth because you end up hiding a lot and spinning in confusion. I don't know what to do. I don't know the how. I don't know, I'm gonna have to find someone to teach me how to do it. I'm gonna find someone to tell me what to do. Constant self-doubt, constant self-questioning, and just spending and spending and spending in confusion. And that has been, it's shown up so much in multiple of my businesses of I don't just confusion and then going and looking for someone outside of me to tell me what to do. And then I resist doing what they tell me to do. And so then I just spin in confusion and there's very slow progress forward. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys because I know a lot of you can relate on that, just like spinning in confusion. And I wanted to shed light on why we spin in confusion. For me, spinning in confusion is that I'm trying to do it somebody else's way and not my way. That is, it's kind of my true compass, like pointing north towards me. And I know if I'm not pointing north towards me and the answers are within me and I'm over here in confusion, then my compass is off. It means I'm trying to do it other people's way. I'm trying to relegate my responsibility for my results to someone else. Their way is the best way. Their way. Like if I do it their way and it doesn't work, it's not my fault. It's their fault. It's their system. Right. So anytime that I'm spinning in confusion, it should be a red flag for me. Like you're not listening to you. You're not in alignment with you. You're trying to do it somebody else's way. And we've slowed ourselves down a lot because spinning in confusion doesn't allow you to make decisions. And if you really want to know the secret to like success and quicker success, it's not time. Time doesn't like create things. Decisions create things, making decisions, and decisions don't take a lot of time. They're usually like seconds, honestly. So making decisions is what creates results. So that's how you can create results faster. It's when you move out of the confusion. For me, confusion is connected to doing it the right way and not trusting me, believing that the right way is somebody else's way, which then tells me like, oh, I'm in perfectionism, right? So then I know I can have that awareness like, oh, I'm stuck in perfectionism. That means I'm spinning in confusion and I'm not making decisions, so I'm not moving forward. You may have, some of you are going to relate to that, some of you aren't. Some of you, perfectionism isn't like, you don't experience that. But confusion is like a symptom of an underlying problem. Figure out what your underlying problem is. Where's the confusion coming from? Is it perfectionism? Is it people pleasing? Is it avoidance? Like what is causing this symptom of confusion? That should be the question. So when you can get to the root cause of it, then you can go to work. You can just work on it. Like, oh, I see this perfectionism. I know that's a childhood survival mechanism. I'm perfectly safe. I can survive now, right? On my own as adults. I can go find shelter and food and water and community on my own. I don't need parents to take care of me to survive. So I'm safe, which then calms my nervous system and brain. It regrounds into the empowerment of me. I'm in charge of my safety. I'm safe. I don't have to do things perfectly. I accept me. I'm not going to, because I've done so much work in coaching, and it's what I help my clients do, is heal their relationships with themselves. So they're not constantly hiding from themselves. Like, what I mean by hiding from ourselves is if I don't do things perfectly, right, the old me would beat myself up, shame me, gain more evidence that I don't have what it takes, and that feels awful. Well, I don't do that to myself anymore. I've healed my relationship with myself, so I'm not afraid of me. I know I have my own back. So if I don't do it right, I know I'm not going to make it mean anything about me. And that's the big part of our work, is healing the relationship with you so you can feel safe with you to go create this magical life that you want and fail your way there, and do it in a beautiful way where you love and taking care of yourself on the way there. So I hope this is helpful for you guys. Just keep in mind that confusion is a symptom. Get to the root cause, what's causing this confusion, because we want to be in a place where we feel supported, we feel taken care of and safe, so we can make decisions. Because decisions move our life forward quickly, not time. Decisions. Hope this helps, my friends. Let me know your thoughts, your comments. I would love to hear your guys' feedback. info@kimberlyjarmancoaching.com. If this work is resonating with you, and you're like, yes, that's me, like that, like, yes, she gets me. I offer complimentary consultation calls just to connect, just to talk, get to know you, and figure out, like, okay, like, yeah, totally normal. I have a normal brain. Like, where are we at and where do we want to be? And get some clarity on this for you so you can start making decisions to get to the life that you want to get to. And you can find that information in the show notes, or go to my website, kimberlyjarmancoaching.com, and you can just press complimentary consultation call and we will chat. Bye, guys.